Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are watching. Before we get into 90 Day, let's see what is going on in the chat. Tony Man is here. He says, I always thought it was eye jammy. Who knows the proper way to call a busted up eye? I wasn't sure how to spell it. I spelled it phonetically in my mind. Fomiki Latte is here. She says, hey, y'all. And Tony Man is saying, hey, back. Let me let you know what's going on this week as well. I just recently uploaded a mini podcast review of Hatching on my other channel. What did I just watch? I also uploaded a cosplay review of Hellraiser and Hellbound Hellraiser 2. As you can see, I am dressed up like Christy, and I have opened the puzzle box. So if I'm not here later this week, you know why. There was one more. Which was it? Wait, let me go back the other way. There it is. That's the third one. Almost couldn't remember which movie it was. I did a mini podcast review for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. So check that one out as well. Now let's get into 90 Day Fiance. This is going to be a double show. So it will be, we'll start with, let's see here. 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After, and then we'll do a little bit on the single life. There's not a whole lot happened on the single life for me to talk about to dedicate a whole show by itself. So we'll just do this. Toman says, love that cosplay, by the way. I'll probably be on here until 4:30. Got to make a run for the border later. No problem. Okay, so who are we starting with? Bilal and Shaeeda. Now, Bilal is trying to teach Shaeeda how to drive on the right side of the road because in Trinidad and Tobago, they drive on the left side of the road. So she's trying to get used to driving on the right side of the road. But he's talking to her as if she has not been driving for 17 years. And it's really, really annoying. But I'm annoyed by everything Bilal does. And I'm also majorly distracted by, in their talking heads, this black eye she's sporting. Now, here, you can see how it's puffy around. Let me make myself smaller and you guys can see what I'm talking about. This area right here looks real puffy and her eyes half shut, like she's sporting a shiner that she tried to cover up with makeup. And if this fool is putting hands on her, that's I don't even want to cover it anymore. It's bad enough that we have to watch Angela abuse people. Now we're seeing signs of abuse with other couples on the show, and TLC is just documenting it. I think there's something kind of sick about that. Um, and she kept on trying to turn her head to the side, like, wait, let me do it this way. She kept turning her head this way as if that's going to cover up the fact that she has a swollen eye. And I did take a closer look. I went up to the TV, and you can see it's puffy right here. And when she does turn forward, this eye doesn't even fully open as much as this eye. I can't support that. I can't support that in a relationship at all. And barely anyone was even talking about it. When I was on Twitter, maybe 4 or 5 people tweeted about it. And I'm like, I can't, us 5 people cannot be the only people noticing this. Or is she going to say she slipped on the ice like Patrick's sister said? Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. The cheek is a little bit puffy too. That cheek and that under eye is very puffy. And I in good conscience cannot act like I don't see it at all. The only other thing happened was that they did a pros and cons list for having a baby, and they both need to just hang it up because he doesn't want any more children, period. And she thinks a baby is a plaything and not a real person that is going to do what it does. Because you're not going. She thinks she's going to control when a baby sleeps. That's laughable. I mean, you can put a baby on a schedule. Yes, you can. Will they stick to it? It's a little bit iffy. It kind of is iffy until they're about 2. But yay, if she wants to have that fantasy that babies are just, a walk in the park, maybe she needs to be. See, I don't even have a baby, but I have watched enough babies. And I babysat my youngest sister the most because I was in college when she was born. Babies are not easy. I don't know where she's getting that from. And my sister was of the babies to be around. She was one of the easiest because she was never sick. She wasn't very cranky, but still, it's a lot of work to take care of a baby. Faux Mickey Latte says she should have gotten actual driving instructor, less stress. I hope he isn't, but she's hiding. It's suspect. Yeah, the way she kept turning her head like this, like the whole time, it was almost like Beavis and Butthead. You know how Beavis always looks straight ahead and Butthead is always like this? That's the way their talking head looks. This right here. Let me go back to, I think I might have caught that when she turned her head forward. Come on, computer, work with me. Yeah, I caught her when she had turned her head forward for just a moment so I could get a better picture of that eye. But the majority of the time, this head was turned towards Bilal like she was trying to cover up that side of her face. It's, I hate that. I hate that for her. And he just looks evil. I'm sorry. This man looks evil. I don't see what she sees in him. Why would you even want to have a baby with that? Just gross. Your baby might come out with this face, evil looking face. All right, let's talk a little bit about Elizabeth and Andrei. Not a whole lot happened, except for Andrei went to the immigration office and received some bad news because his immigration attorney was like, well, we rarely ever have to have anyone, do a second interview. And they're calling you up to do a second interview. So that means that there might be something in your past that's giving them pause. And Andrei's a little bit I don't think he's transparent enough about the whole cop situation. He said he was a police officer in Moldova, and he said that he had left the police because he did not like how corrupt it was. But the question is, did he participate in any of the corruption before he left? Which, it's sad that if that, messes up the rest of um, his life trying to live because he witnessed something that he didn't participate in. But if he participated in it, you got to pay the piper. I mean, that's all I can say about that. Hopefully, he did not participate. Hopefully, he just witnessed some stuff, and that's what was the catalyst for him to say, you know what, I'm out of here. I can't rock with this. And kudos to him for saying he can't rock with it. That's about it. Oh, yeah, he does think that it's possible that one of Libby's siblings, I think it was Charlie. But then again, I don't think Charlie's smart enough to do something like that. So it's got to be one of the sisters. Like, on one hand, Charlie would be the most motivated to throw salt in his immigration status. But I don't think Charlie is smart enough to know how to throw salt in his immigration status. I think Becky and Jen definitely are smart enough to do something like that. So, I mean, I don't know. This all could be drama for camera. Take with a grain of salt. I'm just talking as if what we're seeing is actually real. Um, the Shaeeda thing, I believe, is real because I mean, you could do special effects makeup to make yourself have a black eye, but I don't see why you would. Not on a reality show like this. But anything is possible. But that's all that happened with Libby and Andrei. Their story is just kind of boring to me, so I'm barely talking about it. Next, now this one I am going to talk a bit more about, and that is Jenny and Sumit, because I mean they have their issues, but they really do seem to be enjoying each other and enjoying themselves. They go well. Actually, before that, Jenny receives good news from her daughter Christina, and Christina said a video call Jenny that she and her wife are going to visit Jenny Sumit in India. And so this makes Jenny very happy and Sumit very happy as well. Shout out to that. That's cool. Later on, we see Jenny and Sumit going over this bridge that spans across the river Ganges. It was very, very cool. I like how Sumit is always holding her hand wherever they go. He is not ashamed to be with her, and I like that. This is what the bridge looks like over the river Ganges. It's very, very beautiful. I would not walk across it because I hate heights. I don't like anything that puts me up high over something, and I would be too nervous to walk over, but it's very beautiful to look at on screen. And I am thankful to TLC when they do show us different parts of the world, because it still is technically the Learning Channel. So I do appreciate it when they show us the beautiful cityscape and hotels in Lagos, Nigeria, when they show us this area of India, when the season they shot in South Korea. Very, very nice what they showed us. And a little bit of what they didn't show the best parts of Brazil, but but we did get to see a little bit of Brazil. But I do appreciate when we do get to see other parts of the world. And this is another shot on the bridge. It appears to be a tourist attraction. I see a lot of people with phones and cameras taking pictures. Later, they go to this lovely restaurant that is overlooking the River Ganges, and it's also beautiful. I liked how it was decorated with the different printed fabrics. It made it like feel more cozy and vibrant. I love that. I love seeing that. And this is where they have their second conversation, or possibly the third conversation, about the Kama Sutra class. And the way that Jenny is like, I'm 63 years old. I already know all these things. But if you know these things, Jenny, you obviously must not be showing them to Sumit if he's asking you to take this class with him. You're not showing him what you can do or what you know if he's asking you these questions. Fomiki Lighty says TLC is good for harboring all kinds of abusers. Oh yeah. The fact that they still have Angela on the show, when, like, if you reverse the sexes and Angela was a male and he did, if his name was Angel and he went and tore up this lady's car and he threatened her and all this other kind of BS, he would not be on that show. And then they've also had people on, like, I can't remember the gentleman's name, the one that was dating a young lady from, I want to say she was from Ukraine, and he had a laundry list of charges, and he ended up going back to jail. Can't remember his name, but his head was shaped like a Minecraft creature. I don't remember his name, but he should have never been on the show just based on his criminal history. My sister often says that someone's going to die on 90 Day. She really thinks that it's going to come to a place where someone literally dies. Yeah, Jenny does decide that she's going to go to the Kama Sutra. What I also appreciate about Jenny, she does try very much to still treat herself well. Like, as far as like her presentation, she tries to dress well. Her makeup is always done for the camera. I have not seen Jenny without that eyeliner and eyeshadow and lipstick on, not in one single scene. I can't recall. As opposed to Kimberly, who often looks like she's given up on life. And I wish that she would just put a little bit more into her presentation, just a little bit. Jenny puts a lot into her presentation, and I appreciate that about her. This is the instructor for the Kama Sutra class, and this was one of the more serious shots that I could get of him, because in the background of some of the other shots, you could see him trying not to laugh. He says to us, or to the producers, that he's not used to having a person Jenny's age in his class, and he's hoping that she does not sustain any physical injuries. That's the way he said it. And so, they demonstrate different poses. Here's his assistants that demonstrate each pose as he's talking about your breath control, and also saying Om. Like, it's very meditational in a way. I kind of dug it. I would go to a Kama Sutra class. I like the idea of the connection between spirituality and sexuality. I love it. Fomiki Latte says they would monetize that too. Yeah, they probably would. Right now, I'll come back to it later, but right now during 90 Days Single Life, they are following Ceasar around in Ukraine while Russia is threatening Ukraine. So eventually, I'm trying to figure out whether Ceasar ends up stuck in Ukraine or whether he gets out of Ukraine before that happens. They really they really don't care. Yes, Jeffrey, that's who I was talking about with the criminal history. And it's a criminal history of abuse, not just, I think it's abuse and drug trafficking as well. I think it was drug trafficking and abuse. Those, as soon as they saw that this person has a criminal history of abuse, they should have said, no, you're disqualified from participating on the show. So like I was saying, this is the people demonstrating, and you see how straight their backs are, demonstrating the pose. And this is how Jenny and Sumit kind of looked when they tried to do the same pose. It looks funny, but technically it doesn't matter what it looks like. It matters what it feels like to the two of them. So as much as I giggle about how this looks, if they can make this work in the bedroom and it gives them what they need, I'm all for it. But I enjoyed seeing, like, I'm sorry, I hit my thing against the cup. I am enjoying seeing so much of Indian culture and certain things that are, mind you, the Kama Sutra is thousands of years old. This text, it's history. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now let's get to another abuser, Angela, who I don't know, how does she have this type of strength? Sumit, Fomiki Lighty says, Sumit wants to bend Jenny up into a damn pretzel. He needs to stop. Well, I think the reason why he's thinking this, because they did show a scene. I forgot to take a screenshot of it, but they showed a scene of Sumit's mother doing yoga with Jenny, and his mother is super flexible. So Sumit is like, well, if you're the same age as my mother and she could bend and turn, and maybe you should bend and turn too. But that's something that you have to practice for a long time. If Jenny was to practice yoga daily, she would become more flexible despite age. Yoga is one of those things that you can still participate in well into your golden years. Back to abusive Angela. We're still in the scene where we left off last time, where she's outside of supposedly Michael's house. I'll tell you why I say supposedly in a minute. Her friend Renee is still there in her, what is that, a Gucci hat? Looks like it's a Gucci hat that she has on, saying, "Come outside, we just want to talk," when we know that's not what Angela's trying to do. Now, the thing I don't understand, why is Angela this strong? Oh, by the way, this outfit here, let me pull something up on my phone to show you guys. Because I looked at that and I said, well, that looks familiar. And I'll tell you where I saw it on. I should have pulled this up earlier, but I didn't think about it until I just now saw the picture and it jogged my memory. Come on. Why won't it go to the full list? There it is. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I knew I saw that outfit somewhere, and it was from Shein, and it was $7.75. I think that's a really good price for that. Oh, this is on sale, by the way, but it is sold out because I would have ordered this because I thought it looked really, really cute. But that's what Angela, I'm pretty sure that's what Angela has on. Anyways, that's I have to put a little bit of fashion in this if I'm going to be Fashion Freak TV. All right, back to my notes. Okay, Angela and Michael. Put my notes there. I wrote the first note in here is she is abusive as hell. Yeah, so she's continuing her rampage on his car, and I don't know how she's ripping all this stuff with her bare hands. Like she ripped off the wind screen or bug screen, I think it's called, on the front of the car, and then she ripped off the back. I'm with her bare hands. I don't have strong hands like that. She has like I don't know what kind of strength that is. My grandmother happened to be watching part of this scene, and she said that she thinks Angela's a crazy Cajun. And I told her, no, Grandma, Angela's from Georgia. And so Michael comes walking up from the opposite direction, mind you. That's why I said his opposite house, because he didn't come out of that house, nor did he go back in that house after all this happened. He came walking up the driveway from the opposite direction saying, "What is the meaning of this?" Hopefully I could do Michael's accent right. But that's what he said. And she went over to him in a rage and attacked him. She physically attacked that man. And his friend back here had to stop her and hold her back, and it was horrible. It was horrible. It was physical abuse. She's done that before. She smashed a cake in his face. I think she threw a drink on, not on him. She threw a drink on his friends. She's been physically abusive this whole time, and he's stuck with her. And her abuse keeps getting worse and worse. Like the level of abuse is getting worse and worse. He says that, at this point, he yells that he's done, that he's finished, and for her to get out of his compound, which, again, questionable whether he lives there since he came walking up from the opposite direction, or he might have been at someone else's house, and whoever was home said, "Michael, you better get home. This lady is, tearing your car up." Either way, like, it's been a couple of years, Michael. If you don't know who Angela is by now, I feel so bad for you. I really, really do. I wish that you had a higher self-esteem to think that you shouldn't be treated this way. And I wish you wouldn't idolize America so much. It is not worth coming here. It's so much not worth going through what you're going through with this lady. It really isn't. I mean, we have some cool stuff, but other countries have some cool stuff too. And it's just, I just can't. I can't. Just like I said with Shaeeda and Bilal, I can't support that relationship, and I cannot support this relationship either. Both things are abusive. And the thing is, I think more people are going to have sympathy for Shaeeda than have sympathy for Michael, even though they are both being abused. But also, these are both people in their 30s. Like Michael's in his 30s, Shaeda's in her 30s. So there's a toss up where a part of you wants to say to yourself, well, when are they going to grow up and figure this out? Like, when are they going to? But I mean, I don't know how the mind of an abused person works. Maybe domestic abuse or spousal abuse causes a person to what's the word for when you like revert, or you go back to a younger state of mind? Like, does it cause you to have like a stunted emotional response? Like, does it reduce you to being a child again? I don't know. Tony Man says, I absolutely can't stand Angela. However, I would probably rip that plastic off. I was reminded about the time I bent a car steering wheel and the amount of strength it took. Wow. Well, it's just like in 90 Day UK when Sean popped the champagne bottle with his thumbs. Like, some people just have strong hands. Wreck-It Ralph hands. Foamy Latte says, Angela's a big-ass woman. She got upper body strength. I used to be like that before I went vegetarian. I think it's the steroids in the food. Good point. Good point. Yeah, diet can definitely affect your body in massive ways. It can affect your hormones. Do I have anything else to say about them? Check my notes. No, that's it. So I guess we can get into the third abusive couple. Although compared to Bilal and Angela, Kimberly is only slightly abusive, but she still is. But Soldier Boy, I feel like he's not innocent because he specifically chooses these older women for his own needs, as far as like someone that will pay for things for him. So he's a gold digger. Yeah, he's a gold digger. Tonyman says, yeah, I'm handy opening up pickle jars or any jar for that matter. All right. Now with this one, this was also a very quick segment for me. Usman is basically just planning to take Kimberly to his hometown of Sokoto. And she's introducing her to his friends and his mother, hopefully. And his part, hopefully. Not, I'm not saying hopefully. This was his mother's face throughout the majority of the meeting. She asked him how old Kimberly was. And of course, right when she asked him that, this is what he did. Because he knows he's not right. He knows what he's doing is BS. And he just likes getting the expensive gifts and, getting notoriety for being on his television show, basically. But he does admit that Kimberly is 50 years old, and his mother is like, I could find 7 girls in this neighborhood that would be willing to marry you. I don't know why you're doing this. I will not. What is the word she used? It wasn't approve. I can't recall the exact terminology she used, but she said she would not approve of this marriage at all. And I had to laugh again because wasn't Usman the same person who was talking about how the woman must be submissive to him? And this, I think the same thing Michael was saying. These men and all these, I'm seeing this with Michael, Usman, Jihoon, Sumit, all of it. Yeah, was it Azan that was in that was dating a girl with the $800 wig? I forget her name. Brittany. All of these men, they all have to have the approval of their mother. For their societies being so patriarchal, it seems more that it's matriarchal, because none of the fathers, Jihoon's father had nothing to say other than try to calm down his mother. Sumit's father had nothing to say other than try to calm down his mother. Azan's mother, I think his name was Azan. I could be confusing the name, but like I said, his father had nothing to say other than to try to calm down his mother. all of y'all, maybe that's why you're thriving for someone to be submissive to you because your mothers are so dominant. I don't know. But I just thought that's a funny juxtaposition between what they're trying to promote as their culture and what their culture actually is. Tony says, are you saying that Soldier Boy is a fame whore? Or as you called him, a gold digger? Yes, both. Both a gold. He's a gold digging fame whore. He's a gold digging fame whore. Yes, that's what I'm calling Soldier Boy. I think that might be it for, yeah, for 90 Day Happily Ever After. Let's get into 90 Day the Single Life. Fomiki Latte says, Usman wants to be a kept man. He ain't trying to take care of a wife. Yeah, he is. Like how Michael is. Michael is a kept man. If that's why Angela was tearing up that car. She said that's her car. Let's talk about Debbie. And she is living her best life. She says that she feels like she's falling in love with her Canadian guy, Tony. And I'm happy for them. They seem very cute. They seem like they are right for each other. I enjoy seeing them getting along. Hopefully it stays that way. I mean, sometimes with TLC, we need a break from all the drama and just to have one couple that we can kind of root for or watch without getting annoyed or get our blood pressure up at seeing abusive or just downright psychotic behavior when it comes to Natalie. I enjoyed watching them, and I enjoyed seeing people enjoy their golden years. Like that's what's up. I like that. Tommy says, I can't wait to hear about Blondie Cray Cray. I need a better nickname for her. I think that's a perfect nickname for her. I don't think I have more to say. Oh, yeah, there was one other thing that happened. She had lunch with her friends, and she was going to move in with one of her friends, but they were discussing their pet situation, and her friend has a dog that likes to chase Debbie's cats around, and that was not going to work out well. So they decided that they were not going to move in together. But now this leaves Debbie in a situation because she had already planned to move, and now she's got to replan everything. So that leaves her kind of hanging out there. So hopefully she'll be able to find a good situation. Now we'll get to Tony Man's favorite. I'll put your note back up on the screen. I can't wait to hear about Blondie Cray Cray. I need a better nickname for her. Yeah, this is what we will be calling her from now on until we found a better one. Blondie Cray Cray. I wrote in my notes, she's acting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And poor old two baby mama Josh does not know how to handle this at all because she flips like this. Like there's no rhyme or reason to when she goes into her tizzies. It's just it doesn't make sense what she wants from him. Like I think I can decode the crazy. I think that she wants him to always speak to her in a manner that is not realistic. I think he wants to talk. I think she wants him to always tell her how beautiful she is constantly. I think that she wants him to speak to her the way men are written in romance novels, and that's not realistic. People don't speak that way. That's just not how they are. And the people, if you come across a person that does speak that way, most likely they're putting 20 on 10, they're putting on, and they are a liar, a lying liar who's going to disappoint you eventually. So I don't know. I don't know how to take her. Like this is another one where you feel like is TLC intentionally filming someone who is not psychologically healthy? I don't know whether it's possible that it's entirely possible that she could be putting on this whole thing for the cameras and it's just a ruse just to stay on television. It's entirely possible. But either she is an amazing actress or something's really not right with her. I don't know. She was upset because Josh had to go to work. That's all it was. He had to go to work. He probably would be back to see her after. Oh, actually, he had to fly. He had to fly somewhere for work. It was a business trip, and she was just beside herself that he would actually have to work. Tony says, so maybe Grizzly Dude was driven crazy by her, and editing made him seem like an asshole. Two things could be true. He could be an asshole, and she could be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Two things could be true, but it's possible that she did drive him crazy. I don't know. Let me see. Later on in the talking heads, she says that Josh is unemotional. And as I was looking at him, I was like, he's not unemotional. He's trying not to make any sudden movements because he's scared. He does not know what to do. So he's trying to stay still and plan an exit strategy because you are scary. You are like, on Twitter, they kept on putting pictures of, my ring almost got caught in my hair. They kept on putting pictures of Homegirl from Fatal Attraction when she was turning the light on and off. That's what they compare Natalie to. That's not a good thing to be compared to. But I think that's all I had on her. Like and then she ended up crying in the bed. Like she told him she didn't care about him and she wanted him to go. And then he still stood there for a while outside the bathroom door because she had locked herself in the bathroom for a while. When she finally came out, she still wasn't making any sense. And he finally left to go, on his business trip. And she curled up in a fetal position and cried in bed. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I honestly don't know what to say about it. I think she needs to get some help. Like some serious psychiatric help if this is not an act. All right. Now we have, I always forget her name, Tiffany. We'll call her shoulders because she does not wear anything that does not have her shoulders out. Pamela is here. Hey, Pamela Curl. Pamela Curl says Natalie has crazy eyes. Yes, she does. Look at, I will go back. Yes, she does. This is actually the most normal looking picture of her. Usually her eyes are like even like wider like this. Like she looks a little bit, tinged. At first, I think I said last week that I wasn't that interested in Tiffany's story. But now, actually, I have to take that back. Her story did end up being very, very interesting. Also, I might have mentioned this in previous reviews from other seasons that she's been on. Her eye makeup is always on point, always done. That eyeliner, always sharp. The eye makeup. Is she a makeup artist? I don't know what her vocation is, but if she's a makeup artist, I think she probably is a really, really good one because it's always done right, done well. I love that. For a reminder, Tiffany was dating South African Ronald, who smoked his mom's refrigerator. They often say on the show that he has a gambling addiction, but he also had a heroin addiction as well, which is super hard. Hopefully I didn't misspeak. We'll say allegedly, just in case, because that's what I recall them saying on the first season he was on. So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but he has multiple addictions, allegedly. They've broken up, but he does still call the children nightly on video chat, which I think is really good. I think it's good for him to still have a relationship. And that baby grew so fast. Her daughter that she had with Ronald, she looks to be about 3 years old now. Time flies. I remember when she had just had the baby. So she's trying to get back into her dating life. Tony Man says to Pamela, I've said if you can see 3/4 of someone's eyeball, they're batshit crazy. And Natalie often shows you 3/4 of her eyeballs. Where was I about Tiffany? She went out with her friends and they took her to a strip club and she seemed to have a really good time there. So kudos to that. I'm happy for her and her friends. Later, she does tell her friends about her interest in an old flame named Fabian. Now, here's one thing that I found a little bit odd. The way she spoke about Fabian exoticized him for being a Latino male, and it seemed very odd to me because she's Latina herself. So I'm like, how? She was speaking as if she were a waspy white woman dating a Latino male, not someone that's actually of her same culture. It was very, very odd. Like at one point she called him, was it spicy she used? Yes, she called him spicy. And I'm like, that was kind of odd. Like like maybe she self-identifies more as a, I don't know, maybe she's only half Latina. I have no idea. It just seemed the way she spoke about him was as if he was something so foreign and exotic to her, and it's like, you're both Latino, so how is he foreign and exotic? It's, I mean, he is probably more recent. He's a more recent immigrant. I think Tiffany was born here, so, but she still is of Cuban descent. I'm sure she's got relatives that sound in a similar way to Fabian. So it was just, it's very, very strange. Very, very strange. But not unusual, because I've seen people do that within like I think technically Belial might be doing it Shaeeda. He talks to her as though um she's so different from, because she's from Trinidad and Tobago, but she's still a black woman, but he sees he might be exotifying her because she's Caribbean. And I think that happens. I mean, I know that happens. When I was at, side note, when I sorry for the tangent, but when I was in college at Florida Memorial, which is a historically black college, there were students there that when they found out that I had one parent that was of Jamaican descent. I mean, that's how far it goes, because it was really, one of my grandfathers came from Jamaica, so I'm 2 generations removed, and yet so I had some students tell me, "Well, you're not really black because you're Jamaican," and I was like, "What?" That didn't make any sense to me, but in their mind, that's what they thought. So maybe she thinks of herself separately from him because she's born in the United States and he still has an accent, which to me indicates that he's immigrated to the United States as either a teenager or an adult. Okay. Filmmaker Lighty says they're just dating. She's doing too much. And I liked Fatal Attraction. I was rooting for her. I did get why she was angry, because dude straight up used her and then tried to like ignore her, but it wasn't worth boiling a bunny over. Like, that's not right. The baby didn't do anything to you. That was the child's pet. So anything else? At the very end of their segment, Fabian does ask her to come back with him to his hotel room. I thought that was very, very forward. Even if you have a previous history, which I believe she said that they dated before and that she had slept with him before, I still felt like that was a little bit forward, especially to do on camera. Pamela says, yes, something is wrong with Natalie. Yeah, something is very, very wrong with her. And it's almost wrong for TLC to follow her around. And you know what it reminds me of? The way TLC was with Paul. Something was clearly wrong with Paul, but they kept on following him around like everything is fine. And might be a little bit with Ceasar, although I think Ceasar has a little bit more on a level of not being on the ball. Ceasar is probably the most on the ball when compared to Paul and Natalie. But I still think that Ceasar might be a little bit challenged in some ways. Yeah, I think that's all I have for her. And speaking of Ceasar, let's get to him. Because that segment, I was on the floor. Well, figuratively, not literally. All right, Tony Man says, got to run to the border. Talk soon. Okay, thank you for stopping by, Tony Man. I always appreciate you. Ceasar was first. He was shown in his hotel room, admiring the Ukrainian view and also the snow, because Ceasar is from South Carolina. That's not a place where I don't think it probably has snowed maybe once in the last 10 years. That time that it snowed in Georgia and northern Florida, but generally it does not snow in South Carolina. So it was probably very nice for him to see the snow in Ukraine. Later on, he does talk to Katerina, and she says she has 3 dates lined up for him. The first one is Valentina. The second one is another Katerina. And the third one is Adana. We also see him ask her about the mounting threat that Vladimir Putin has put towards the Ukraine. Because mind you, this was all taped before Russia invaded Ukraine. So like, who was it? Yara. Katerina also thinks that everyone is blowing out of proportion. It's not that serious. They're all going to be fine. It seems that most of Ukraine didn't really think that Russia was going to bust a grape in a food fight. They really didn't believe that what came to pass would come to pass. Pamela says, "Oh, Paul, what a mess." Yes. Did you see how that whole thing ended up? There. Oh goodness, Pamela, if you're interested in finding out how that whole Paul situation ended up winding up so far, unfortunately, the law was involved. Their children were taken into DCF custody, all kinds of negativity. But the two channels I think that covered it were, I think, Auntie's Advice. That's the one, yeah. Watch Auntie's Advice because Paul actually contacted her. He actually contacted her and she spoke one-on-one with him, and she told him to turn himself into the police. But yeah, that whole situation was bad. The other one I think may have covered it is Kiki and Kibitz, but I'm not 100% sure. But definitely check them out just in case. But yeah, they do 90-day content as well. But definitely check out Auntie's Advice. That's the channel that she has an inside scoop with a lot of stuff. But let's talk about this date that Ceasar had with Valentina. Before he goes on a date, he does show us that he has a book called Russian for Dummies. And it looked like when he cracked it open, it looked like it was the first time he had cracked it open. And it's like, Ceasar, why did you wait till you got all the way to Ukraine in a hotel to crack that book open? The flight is at least 6 to 8 hours. You could have cracked that book open during the flight. You could have cracked that book open in the 2 years you were talking to Maria. And you never learned Russian, which, by the way, that's one of the main languages in Ukraine is Russian. I forget what the secondary language is, but I think the main language is Russian, so that's why he had that. So then he goes on the date, and he meets Valentina, and she seems really sweet, but then she does this one thing that I was like, I'm going to just put it up on the screen. She brought him a gift, and it was a chocolate bar, and she said, it's chocolate like your skin. And I had to pause the show because I watched this on Discovery Plus. I had to pause the show and just take a moment because I'm sure she meant well. I'm sure she meant well. I'm sure she just thought it was a very sweet thing to do, but it's so odd. It really is so odd. I'm sure her heart is in the right place. I'm sure her heart is in the right place. And, I have to look at it from outside of an American perspective, because keep in mind that people in other countries, they don't have the same racialized history that America has. So she really probably is doing this, from a place of trying to be cute and sweet. I don't think she's doing it from in any other respect, but looking at it from my perspective, growing up in America, it's very, very different. But we'll see. She genuinely does seem like a sweet person. So we'll see how this turns out. Paula says, yes, very sad. And then, okay. Panelists, I hope your channel grows. Oh, I appreciate that. I really, really do. Because sometimes I wonder if I'm even good at this, because it doesn't seem like too many people watch me. But I enjoy talking about 90 Day because it's such a wild show to watch. So I would continue doing this probably either way. Let's get into some of the tweets. I think that's all the notes I have for 90 Day The Single Life. Let's pull up Twitter and see what they have to say. Let me stop this screen and do like this. I still use the free version. That's why it's a little bit janky, my transitions. I apologize. The free version of StreamYard, that is. So let's. And I'm terrible at multitasking. I really should be talking as I'm pulling stuff up, but I have ADHD and it's hard for me to multitask. If I start talking, I'll hit the wrong buttons. Foaming Light says Ceasar looking like a substitute teacher in that photo. Yeah, it did look like a class photo, but it is a nice photo of him. I appreciate TLC for taking that photo of him. That's probably the photo that Katerina is using on the dating site. Oh, there's something else I forgot to mention that Valentina said. She said that she liked Ceasar and wanted to go out with him because he had kind eyes. And I think that's true. I think Ceasar does have kind eyes. He does seem like the type of individual that would not hurt you. Like, as much as we've seen of him on the show, he really has been the nicest, kindest, sweetest teddy bear type individual. And I just wish that he would, I hope for him that he finds a lady that is not there to use him, that is there to really, really love him the same way that he wants to love them. I hope that for him, because I really do think he's a nice person from what we've seen on the show. Okay. Here we go. Dana says, Usman's mom just wants to bitch slap him. She is exercising great restraint. Chief's lover chick says, Mother Usman, when she finds out that she's meeting another old white American woman. Chris says, this is like walking in on my grandparents getting ready for some geriatric loving. Suplex Kitty says, and the way they wrote it, like Kitty reminds me always of What We Do in the Shadows, when they say New York City. When your mom asks how old your girlfriend is, and that's, like I showed earlier, that's literally what he did. He like covered his face because he knows he's wrong. Fivehead, the most hated, says, WTF does Shaeeda see in Bilal? Because I just don't see it. Me too. Let me take this out because I'm not listening to anything at the moment anyhow. But I don't see it. There's nothing to like about him. He's not funny. He's not a conversationalist. He doesn't show us that he's caring in any way. There's just nothing to like about him at all. Alex says, I'm so tired of hearing Bilal talk at Shaeeda like she's 4 years old. We all are. We all are. Reese says, I would never want to have a baby with a man who's trying to talk me out of it. Shaeeda cannot be this naive. That's what I keep going back and forth with. I go back and forth because of her age. She's almost 40 years old. And it's hard for me to understand her mentality because she very much has a lot of young girl tendencies. Tiny Dinky Daffy says, I stopped feeling bad for Shaeeda a long time ago. You married that dork. Proud Virgo says, child, I don't even know why Shaeeda married that man. The 90 says, why does Shaeeda have a black eye? This is what we've been saying. TV tweet says, why isn't the doctor testing Bilal for his fertility status? He looked extremely disappointed when Shaeeda got good news. Made me so angry. He has never shown grace or love towards her. I have to agree. 90 says, why does Shaeeda, is that the same person who said before? Yeah, they've tweeted it twice. Why does Shaeeda have a black eye? I think a lot about Bilal, but I did not expect that. Mm-hmm. And I retweeted it twice. I didn't realize it was the same person that tweeted that twice, but it should be said twice. More people need to notice that. If I mean, maybe I'm tripping, but that's what it looked like to me. Carrie Smith McCall says, I see Liz doing her Paul homage. And that's referring to, I didn't talk about Liz and Ed because I don't want to talk about them because I see them in a similar way. I'm almost about to stop talking about Usman and Kimberly because it's like the same thing. Liz strikes me as a fame hoe because there's literally nothing to like about Ed. Not a single thing to like about Ed. And Ed is also an abuser, much like Angela, but Ed is more insidious because his abuse is very stealthy and it's very mental and emotional. He plays a lot of mind games, like being shaped like an egg and telling a woman that she needs to work out. These type of mind games wouldn't work on me, but I have a fully formed brain. And I'm not saying that to say that Liz has half a brain. I'm saying that that's why Ed was chasing after younger girls, because your brain literally does not fully form until you are about 27 years old. You're still in puberty when you are in your early 20s. And Ed knows this. That's probably why he chases after women that are in puberty, because he can play these mind games on them, because they, number one, they don't see it coming because they haven't had the life experience to know that people like Ed exist. Whereas a woman closer to his age would see the BS coming. And where was I? Was that all the tweets? No, there's a couple more. 90 Day Fiance WTF says Shaeeda can't be serious. Bilal does not want kids, period. Yeah, she needs to stop giving him the benefit of the doubt. Carl says, what I don't understand is why Shaeeda fell in love with Bilal. I can't see him ever being fun, attentive, kind person who's willing to compromise. She is an intelligent, thoughtful, loving woman. They don't seem to have anything in common. I agree. It's like Shaida's only requirement was that he was breathing and alive. Faya says, Shaeeda, be for real, please. Either settle for stepmotherhood or leave this man. For crying out loud, he doesn't want to have more kids. AJ says, let me tell you, what Bilal is doing to Shaeeda is evil. He's literally trying to waste time so she's past childbearing years to get out of giving her a child, which they agreed to. This asshole, I'm just going to say it, this asshole could have let her find happiness in a family elsewhere. He is low. Mm-hmm. Anna Levy says, I don't know whether it's Levy or Levi. We'll say Levy. Anna Levy says, everyone while watching, and there's two images of Usman's mother. Let me increase it so I can see what it says here. I cannot continue to sit by and watch you make mistakes. Yep. This is what we're all thinking. J Stan says, when your quote husband drives you to the fertility doctor in hopes of him being able to medically discourage you out of having a baby, he's not here out of concern, but to validate his feelings. Go back to Trinidad and live your best life. Janet says, or Janet, this season of Happily Ever After sucks. I'm tired of seeing Angela bullying Michael and Kimberly making a fool of herself. Why is Big Ed even on this when his fiance is American? Bilal is so freaking mean. I just can't with this cast. Michelle Mobamba says, Angela is a lunatic and I actually don't feel bad for Michael. She showed him who she was before they got married. This is true. Carrie Zombie says, Angela, I flew to Nigeria to fix my marriage. Also Angela. And there's a image of someone smashing the windows on a car. Your Clarkness says, nobody wants to listen to Bilal mansplain every single episode. Every scene we are subjected to unsolicited mansplaining. Mm-hmm. Capricorn Moon Energy says, another day, another tweet about how Bilal is controlling an emotional abuser who should have never seeked a relationship if this woman said she wanted a baby from the start. And that's all the 90-day tweets. The last thing I retweeted that besides 90 Day was Lovely T retweeted this young lady who's rapping. I will tell you to go to Lovely T's Twitter or her Instagram to watch the video because there's music in the background. I don't want to get clocked for copyright. But she says, if you've been having a hard time expressing the way Kanye West's recent moves make you feel, you're not alone. Hopefully rapper Chica put it all into words in this incredible freestyle. What do y'all think about this? Yeah, because she freestyles over Through the Wire background music. So I want to play it, but I don't want to get clocked by YouTube because YouTube is, you know what YouTube is like. But definitely follow Lovely T on Instagram or Twitter to see this video because the young lady, she spoke some words and I agree with everything she said in this freestyle. All right, let me wrap this up. I'm going to close that and then Yeah, we're not. I mean, I did a video many moons ago about Kanye and fashion. And I say moons ago, I mean like maybe 6 years ago. I did a video about Kanye and fashion, how I was not featuring him, period, um, or his nonsense. So if you want to hear more of that, check my channel. You will find that video from years ago. I don't think anything has changed and since I made that video. Fomikilati says, I think Shida doesn't think she can do any better. And that's a shame. That really is a shame that her self esteem is so low because I think she has a lot to offer a person. Like, and he's beating her down. He's beating down her light. When we first saw her and she's doing her yoga in Trinidad, there was so much of light and vitality in her, and I'm watching it drain week by week. He's sucking it out of her and putting her down and putting her down and picking at her and picking at her until her self-esteem is going to be. This is literally what abusers do. They will pick at a person and break down their self-confidence. Hey, Mac Reviews. Mac Reviews says Bilal's behavior is awful. I think the reason she was attracted to him is he's her same religion, appeared to have money, and she said before that she thinks he's romantic. Yeah, the bar is in the basement, but that is all just surface level. I don't know if she saw his true character before she came to US. Yeah, I think what she was doing is she was looking at all these things that on paper. On paper, she has a checklist. He's Muslim. Check it off. Good. He has a home. Check it off. Good. He has a job. Check it off. Good. He's not a criminal or doesn't have a criminal background. Check it off. Good. However, the things that are also necessary is the person being caring, the person being supportive of you, the person not talking down to you and being disrespectful to you. Those things are equally as important as the tangible things like the car, the house, the I think also ethnic status. I think that if all these things were true, but Bilal also wasn't black, she probably wouldn't go for that either. But all these tangibles that she has on her list, he checks off, but he doesn't check off the most important things. Not saying that you should go with someone that is a broke criminal because they're caring and all that. I think there's got to be an in between. There's got to be an in between. But I hope that she doesn't have a child for this man because she'll be linked to him forever. And it's sad to see because she really is. Here's what I said this before, but because I have a few newer people here, and welcome to the channel, by the way. I appreciate you coming through. I hope that you come back next Monday as well. But I hope that she comes to her senses and realizes that she can use TLC as a jumping off point to get whatever she wants. I would follow her I used to do yoga. I would love to do yoga again. I think she needs to use the spotlight that she has on her to start her yoga channel on YouTube, start her merchandise, get her thing cracking. There's lots of people like myself that would support her. We would watch her yoga videos. We would go buy her yoga clothes, whether we're Muslim or not, because I think that transcends what yoga itself is not part of the Muslim religion. Is actually a Hindu practice, I think, originally. But still, point is, you have the world looking at you right now, young lady. Now I sound like him. I'm saying young lady because I'm old. I'm older than you, Shida. So that's the only reason why I'm calling you young lady. But you have the world looking at you. You literally can start whatever you want, and you'll be able to buy a house nicer than what Bilal has. You'll be able to buy a car nicer than what he has, and you'll be able to find a dude that loves you for you, and not just a status symbol. Because I've said this before in previous videos, but it bears repeating. I think that Bilal is a colorist and he sees you as a status symbol. That's why he doesn't like when you have opinions, because you're meant to just stand there and look pretty. You're supposed to just be the quiet, light-skinned wife that he wants as a status symbol that he can bring with him on networking events. So he can say, oh, this is my lovely wife, but you're not meant to say anything or have any opinion or be anyone other than a walking mannequin. And part of the reason why I say he's a colorist is just looking back at his track record. Okay, if he had one wife that happened to be light, no big deal. He has two, no big deal. But Shida, your wife number 3. And you all seem to look, pretty similarly. So it makes me feel like he is a colorist. Also, his whole perception of women being more of a to be seen, not heard type of thing. I've heard in spaces because I'm nosy. I'll go and look in chat rooms. I'll go and look in men's conversations, and I've seen them have these conversations about light skinned women being easier to control, or softer, or quieter, or whatever stereotypes you want to place on us. That's all BS. Number one, and number two, it's detrimental to you to marry a man that does not love himself or his own vision. Because if you have a child that looks like him, he's not going to love that child if he doesn't love himself. And if he doesn't love himself, how the hell can he love you? We learned that from RuPaul. If he don't love himself, he cannot love you. Period. Okay. Mac Reviews says 100%. Also, absolutely. I've said the same thing. Black women see past the back with Bilal. I've met black men like him. That's one reason he rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, same. Especially if you've worked in corporate spaces before, there's always a Bilal around. And one of the things that irritates me is they're the type of men that they carry this statistic in their head where they think, oh well, most black men are felons or most black men are uneducated. I'm one of the few. So then they big themselves up for just doing what they're supposed to do in life. And that's very, very irritating because there's hundreds of thousands of black women that do the same thing every day. We are educated. We are working hard. We are starting businesses. We do this every day, and we don't pat ourselves on the back and act like we are one of the few. And sometimes a certain type, I never speak in absolutes because I don't know enough people to speak in absolutes. I don't have statistical data to back this. So I'm just speaking on the people that I have met, I have encountered. And I have encountered men like Bilal that think that the whole world should kiss their ass because they did what they were supposed to do. BS, not back. My bad. Oh, okay. Okay, let me reread that. Absolutely, I said the same thing. Black women see past the BS with Bilal. I've met black men like him. That's one reason he rubbed me the wrong way. The same. It's just such. Oh, he's. My only hope is that Angela can be inflicted upon Bilal at the reunion. That's the only thing I can look forward to in this. But Shaeeda, everyone is telling you that you could do better. Every single person is telling you can do better. I hope you get the message. I hope your family comes through. I hope your family comes and visits and has something to say, because this is not a good look. They've got to be watching this in Trinidad and thinking what we're thinking. They've got to be. And there might be a part of you that feels like, oh, I don't want to break up because I don't want people to prove people right. But what's more important? Your outward pride of people finding out that, okay, you went with okay, you went with the wrong dude, and then you corrected, or your inner pride where you have this person beat down your self-esteem daily for years. I think the inner pride is more important. But that's that on that. Let me get out of here because I have to prepare. I have another show tonight I'm doing. I'm going to be on Hood Podcast. Every Monday night we do News of the Weird, and we also do viral stories. We may also talk tonight about the first episode of Werewolf at Night. Again, that is Hood Podcast. I'm going to write it in here. And that will be at 9 p.m. But right now I got to run to make some dinner and relax before I get on Hood Podcast. Thank you all for joining me today. I really, really appreciate you. Even though I went off a little bit, I didn't mean to go off. Today was supposed to be a chill day today, but something about Bilal makes me go off, and I'm really, really sorry about that. But let me get out of here. I will see you next Monday. Thanks again for coming. Take care.